working.
The Knesset Finance Committee also discussed the emerging natural gas deal for the first time today. A representative from the National Economic Council presented details of the agreement as members of the opposition asked challenging questions. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Netanyahu continues to defend the plan as a correct anti-populist policy. The Director General of the Prime Minister's office, Groner, told IBA's Eli Wogelenter that there's been a great deal of misunderstanding over the deal.
There are a lot of things that people seem to not be able to understand. If I were to boil it down to its essence, I would say that at the core, people don't understand that you cannot defy the economic laws of gravity. The way the real world works is companies that have shareholders, that have responsibilities, make investments based on an expected return. The gas discoveries that took place off our shores were discovered by private companies. The reason we involved private companies is because for 40 years, there were government companies that were looking for gas and didn't find anything. Private companies came in and discovered it. Now listen to what's happened. These private companies came in after 40 years when no one could find anything. And they came and they invested billions and they discovered the gas. And what have we told them? Thank you for your discovery, now get out of here. Because that's really what's happened. We have had to have an extended negotiation with these companies because at the core, we are building a new industry in Israel. We are building an upstream gas, natural resources industry which did not exist prior. This involves a lot of regulatory issues, this involves a lot of economic issues, and the fact of the matter is there's a monopoly. Now, no one likes monopolies, and we're doing everything we can to ensure that there will be competition, and there will be competition. But what we've imposed on this monopoly is a number of things that are really unprecedented in the world. Number one, we're forcing them to leave. We're forcing them to divest completely their shares of the Karish Tanin holding. We're forcing one of the Israeli company to divest its holdings completely of Tamar, and we're forcing the American company to reduce its holdings to 25%. The second thing we're doing is we're limiting export. Imagine, in a free market, we're telling companies you can only export up to a certain quota because we want to ensure that there's enough natural gas for the Israeli population, for the Israeli companies, for the Israeli factories that are going to have their electricity costs reduced by 30%. And the third thing we're doing is we're imposing price limits. If you look at all the 34 OECD companies, what you're going to see is that the price that Israelis pay for gas, the price that is for electricity, and the Israeli companies that are hooked up directly to the gas, the price they're paying for it is close to the lowest decile. We're in the lowest 20%. So the price we're getting is very, very good, if not excellent, despite the fact that there's no existing infrastructure here, and despite the fact that it's much more expensive to take it out here because the gas we've discovered, for people that don't know, is 30 kilometers offshore and about 2 kilometers underground. And a lot of the demagogues here are comparing this to the price of gas in Louisiana, where you go to your backyard, drill a hole, and gas comes out. Despite all that, we've got a great price with limits. We're forcing the companies to break up the monopoly, and we're ensuring that we're going to reduce electricity costs for the Israeli public by 30% at least.
So why are there objections to this?
That's a great question, Ellie. I can't psychoanalyze why there are certain people that always want more. You know, I think some behavioral economists would have a field day with this. Right now, Israeli companies are paying between $17 and $22 per unit of gas. If we would have brought the price down from 17 to 22 to, let's say, 9, 10, people could say, you know what? Maybe we'd be happy, we're reducing costs, maybe we should push a little more. We got the price down to between 5 and 6, and people are furious. Because in Texas, you pay 3, and in Louisiana, you pay 3. I can't explain why certain people are opposed to what's clearly a good thing, both from a security perspective, from an energy perspective, from an economic perspective. It's hard to explain other than that certain people have great difficulty getting to yes, and they don't like to see deals struck.
At this hour, members of the